I talked about previously issues surrounding Robodebt, which was a policy or an implementation of a system to attempt to overcome welfare fraud. And its automated systems went a little bit haywire. Well, they did what they were told to do. Whether or not that was the right thing, probably not. But it led to some serious real world outcomes, including loss of lives. Sorry, it's just hearing something outside the headphones. It led to a range of serious real world outcomes. And it was then found that it, despite claims to the contrary early on, it was a fault of the system. And as a result, the system was removed, people being hit with with claims to repay funds that did or didn't exist. Led to all sorts of problems. And it was called Robodebt because basically it was a electronic system designed to try and claw back debt. There were various court cases and compensation payouts along the way. There's been a class action that's now gotten to the point where the government is going to pay the compensation amount, on the order of close to $500 million in compensation. Is it illegal and immoral? Well, it's one way of looking at it. I don't know. I mean, obviously, it's the lawyer that's is trying to drum up the case, but yeah, it's certainly a scandal, definitely a scandal. So yeah, $500 million, largest class action settlement in Australian history. While 100,000 Australians have already signed up for compensation, there could be quite a lot more that would miss out. And this comes down to how, I guess, class actions are put together. You need to be part of the class, and people are sort of automatically assumed to be part of the class when they're not being active participants, and as a result, they may miss out on part of the compensation payout. So yeah, the example here of somebody who was given a $5,500 debt notice for something which didn't exist, and most people at the time who were receiving this weren't running around with thousands of extra dollars in their bank account, so are living paycheck to paycheck or welfare payment to welfare payment or slightly less, and so to suddenly get these massive bills that were filled with threatening language didn't help. Really hurt people quite a fair bit. So yeah, like the bloke said, he was scared of the letter, scared of the content and how it was presented. So he's obviously one of these people that chasing it. I mean, there is $1.7 billion in welfare debts that people didn't owe. Well, revenue raising. But it unfortunately went after the most vulnerable sections of Australian population, people who were reliant or who were receiving welfare payments, and who probably most people would assume would be least likely to be capable of paying out. So initially he offered $350 in compensation for a $5,500 debt that he didn't owe, but he paid back. That was initially appealed. Just because the debt was found to be illegal doesn't make things right when they say, "Oh yeah, we did bad." So yeah, the drawback, and this is the problem, is that just because the settlement's now been arrived, if you're not part of the class action, haven't signed up to the class action, you're going to miss out on your opportunity for a piece of this compensation pie. Otherwise, your only chance would be to take court action on your own behalf. I mean, I've been part of a handful of class action listings in Australia. Couple done without my knowledge, but I was part of the affected class, and so I was automatically enrolled in the class. Others, we were identified as being members of a class of aggrieved people, and were contacted by the lawyers saying this is what's going on, this is the expectation. Government or the agency that was being prosecuted has admitted fault, and you're potentially in line for a compensation or remediation. However, if you choose not to be part of the class, it doesn't stop you from taking court action later on. But the benefit of a class action is it allows more resources to be applied on behalf of the aggrieved population. So people who were victims of Robodebt, thankfully I wasn't, need to register themselves with Gordon Legal by 6th of March. So less than a month. Otherwise, you're going to miss out on potential financial compensation for the grief that people were put through. And if you don't register, then you can't participate. So whilst the settlement has been announced as how big it is, it hasn't necessarily been approved just yet. But it's getting there.